Not live.
Okay, now we're live. I think we're
live.
Woo! Team Futurism is live.
Future.
Hey, so I put up a ton of topics to discuss.
I know.
Today.
I uncharacteristic for me. I read them all and watched all the little videos you sent me, and boy, do I have some opinions today.
Okay, so let me. I know. Well, I mean, I went way ambitious because there is just so much to talk about. We're gonna maybe get to like a third of it, like maybe, but we can also just kind of jump around. But just to set the stage, I kind of like broadly wanted to talk about just the theme, if there is a theme, that this is like 2024 was the year that content creators truly took over. And it's all just about the content creators. No matter who you are. And the New York Times, or sorry, the New Yorker actually had a headline that I thought worded this very nicely and eloquently. It said, "Never before have the protagonists of the attention economy felt so central to American life."
God, trust the New Yorker to add 15 extra syllables to like a three sentence, dude.
I'm actually not a fan of the New Yorker, but I saw that article and I was like, damn, this is right. Like 2024 was the year. Like this was the year. Like content creators been doing the thing for forever, but I mean, like this was the. So anyway, here are some like headlines that I just want to hit. Daniel Penny and like the modern vigilantism. We got the Luigi Mangione, also kind of a vigilante of sorts, and his like anti-futurism influence of Ted Kaczynski. We got the Lily Phillips and Feminism. She's a girl who had sex with 101 guys in one day.
I want to jump that one up the list today.
Yeah, let's maybe hit that one.
I've got strong opinions on that one.
I knew you would like that one. Okay, so maybe we'll even jump that first. Maybe three more that I'll just note here at the top is Dr. Ali Louks, I think that's how you say her name, and the Olefactory Ethics of Contemporary Prose. She like overtook the whole entire internet conversation last week. And I have thoughts as someone who like, I run a literary journal and I have a lot of like near and dear opinions about the literary scene and maybe like the value of a PhD like this. So I want to talk about that maybe briefly. Also, Tuah Girl's crypto scam and Trumpism as a force powered by low human capital. That one might have to be like a standalone episode of its own right later. But okay, so those are some headlines. And Devon, yeah, maybe I'll let you pick. Which one do you want to hit first?
Oh my God. I don't want to get too riled up too early in the pod. Let's talk about folk hero Chuck Mangione or Chuck. I autocorrect. We in no relation, right? No relation to world famous trumpeter Chuck Mangione or flugelhorn player rather, Chuck Mangione. Boy,
so have this keyed up on the screen, so maybe it's appropriate to hit that one first. Do you see the headline I got keyed up here? This is the New York Post. Luigi Mangione family operated nursing home empire that was cited for abuse and healthcare violations, of course.
Here they come, Luigi. They're coming for you, buddy. Oh man.
Give me your hot takes. Are you are you of the left, like the pro murdering CEOs? How radical are we going here?
Is that the left-right divide? Are the libs like murder fanboys and the right wing is like life is life? Is everybody actually sticking to their side here?
So funny you ask. I actually have this pulled up. 19% of Americans have a positive opinion of Luigi. 61% have a negative opinion. And I mean, we're talking about like young wackadoos probably who have a positive opinion of him. It's probably everyone under 30 who doesn't understand basically anything in the world. That's my guess. Or you're just like mega hardcore ideological anti-capitalist, I guess. I'm not too sure. Or maybe
who doesn't love
his abs.
Who does? He is buff and kind of hot, which doesn't hurt in today's age. That might just get him off.
Oh yeah, with a jury today, yeah.
But watch, dude, speaking of OnlyFans, Luigi, I remember the prescience for the Tuah Girl was that somebody posted a couple months ago, like, she's only got 2 ways left to go: OnlyFans or crypto scam. And they nailed it. Luigi's got a bright future in OnlyFans ahead of him.
Man, premeditated murder though, he might be in prison for a long ass time too, like real talk.
Peter, I to my chagrin, I do love a good folk hero. Yeah, I don't know if you had to be like a crazy a political person or fall to some crazy side of the spectrum to be like, I don't know. I do find something important about the idea that I was just talking with my friend about this yesterday. Like, we've become so divorced from collectivism because we're such an individualized society that the idea of somebody kind of martyring themselves for a cause, I don't think that's just been a part of our public consciousness much, except for the self-immolators, which is a different flex. But like, I do think that you look at all of the different ways that conversation is driven in the United States, and the healthcare system is so clearly depraved and broken. Just an absolute nightmare for a first world country. Insanity. We can go down that rabbit hole if you want today, but I'll put a pin in that this one act of violence has driven an unreasonable amount of conversation around the healthcare industry in this country. And I think that it's very interesting in 2024, almost 2025, to have somebody kind of martyr themselves for awareness around, not themselves. I mean, he did martyr someone else too. He martyred his own quality of life. He actually killed someone else, but it is driving the most robust conversation around the depravity of healthcare that I've seen in my life. And so it's like,
so this is the question though. Let me ask you I think the pointed question here.
Ooh, point me.
Where does it end? This was Michael Moynihan's point the other day. So let's say healthcare is broken. Obviously, it has its problems. Let's just say that's your cause, right? That is your cause. So you go out and kill a healthcare CEO. Cool. How many CEOs do you kill? Do you just kill one? Do you keep going? No. And then let's say your thing is oil. You really don't. well, I mean, unless say your thing is oil, right? How many oil execs do you kill? And let's say your thing is veganism. How many farmers of cows do you kill or whatever, right? Yeah. Like, everybody has their pet cause. Not everybody, like, we just can't have conversations driven this way is like kind of the point I'm kind of driving at. Yeah, like, but not a good, like, this is not a pro society, like mature way to have these, because, and I want to say, like, I want to pull back for a second and just like put it in like my human note here, like as a father type of shit. Cause ever since I had a kid, I have become so much more.
This guy was like a father of 3.
Imagine their kids and their mom saying, "You're never going to see your dad again."
Oh, I know. And everybody at school being like, "Your dad's a piece of shit. We're
and
glad."
It's not like tomorrow another CEO is going to come in. Like tomorrow his seat is filled, right? Like nothing actually fundamentally changes. Sure, we have conversations about it, but we are also a country that we have conversations, and then next week, guarantee we all forgot about this.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like my like real talk point here. That's very kind of like boring and anti like fun. But that's my I think my talking.
No, it's okay. I think that there's a little bit of if we let gay people get married, then people are going to be marrying dogs type thinking with the like, well, if it's this guy, then who? There's just very few people that are willing to put their freedom on the line for anything, especially like a social cause or something.
Yeah, but we can't, like, murdering somebody is just not okay in a civilized society, right?
Oh, but we murder people all the time in this society. We just don't. It's just not so dramatic. It's like we draw.
The funny thing is, like, everyone is so. Oh, sorry. Like, caffeine's kicking in, Devon. Watch out.
Me too. I'm fighting for my time.
Shit.
Like, give me my 5 minutes. No. We delineate in this society not between murder and non-murder. The delineation that occurs is time, and how long it takes to kill someone and how dramatic it is. We tend to punish people who do flashy, dramatic like murders pretty heavily. And then if it takes anything more than a second to kill someone, we don't think of it as murder anymore. And I think that that is like fundamentally at the fulcrum of the healthcare, of why people are so incensed and why they're so activated by this particular topic, because I think a lot of people have literally watched their family member be murdered by a fucking insurance company saying, we just can't afford that. You know, your life is not worth that 60K. And like, that's murder, because money is fake and human life is real. I mean, obviously not. Look, I'm not some fucking wild left-wing person that actually thinks money is fake, but when weighed against the value of a human life, it's insignificant. And we have a profit-motivated healthcare system in this country that murders people in slow motion, and actually and actually at times murders people just as fast as Luigi murdered that CEO. If we're debating about,
but I mean, like in terms of morality, like intentions matter. And yeah, I mean, like,
do
healthcare companies, they don't wake up in the morning saying we are going to kill people. They're part of a mass,
part of the profit motive.
They're part of a,
like,
well, I know, but like this is a complex question. Like, this is a complex subject that no country does this right. Every country, like if you go to Sweden or whatever, they're going to have you waiting around for 9 months to see a specialist. And so a lot of those people go to Germany to get care. A lot of Canadians come to America to get care because you can't get to see a specialist. Like, everything is cost and benefit, everything, right? Like, there is no free lunch. Nothing is free. Even if you live in a socialist like paradise, 60% of your income goes to paying other people's healthcare, right? So like, nothing's free. It's not like there's free healthcare. It's like you pay 60% of your income so that other people can maybe possibly get better healthcare.
But here's the crazy thing: is that
you
already pay such a huge percentage of your taxes to subsidize these health insurance companies anyways. We do live in a socialized medicine society. It's just that there's an intermediary between us and the medicine that's mediating our ability to have access to it. Like, it would cost, I've seen so much on this the last week, it would cost so much less money to have universal socialized healthcare than the current system costs, because emergency rooms, hospitals, like, there's everything, every emergency service is so unbelievably impacted by normal unhealthy people that it costs the United States billions of fucking dollars, people going to the emergency room because there's only one hospital in town. That emergency room, you're waiting 8, 10, you know what I'm saying? It's just like, and then,
no, like, I agree with you. Like, fundamentally, like, we agree, on this.
That, you know, and then the knock-on effects of that, of having, yeah, I mean, it's just a whole web of mediation that's happening in a completely unnecessary way, and which wouldn't be a problem, right? If the only problem was when I open up my subsidized covered California health insurance bill and it says $500, but then the state subsidizes $499 of that, and I just pay $1 a month. Well, that's just figurative for me, right? Then I go, well, that's kind of stupid. Like, I don't need $500 in health insurance a year. And even if I did, this isn't a meaningful amount of medical care to me personally. And they're getting paid $500 a month for it. If it was just figurative like that, then I don't think anybody would really have a problem with insurance companies. But the problem is that your fucking mom's dying and they're like, yeah, we just can't afford to give her that medicine that's going to save her life, man. You know what I mean? And it's like,
no, I totally do. And we actually do agree on this fundamentally. I would just say, like, again, I think that all of this is so misdirected because the insurance companies aren't the problem. It's the politicians that set up this system that makes it so insurance companies exist in this landscape. Insurance companies are going to exist and they are going to do these trade-offs as long as politicians uphold the system where they exist in. Like, that's it. And we voted for the politicians who voted for the thing. So like, this is our society that we fundamentally wanted. How many people did not want Obamacare, which makes it so that like you like so many people could not get insulin if they didn't have a job that paid for the healthcare. And then I mean, the whole thing was like a fucked up mess before Obamacare, where you just could not get health insurance at all, right? And then Trump wanted to, for 4 years, Trump was trying to get rid of Obamacare, and people voted for him to get rid of Obamacare, right? Like it's us, like it is us. It's not that healthcare insurance CEO. It's us voting for fucked up people like Donald Trump, who want to make the system worse.
It's the disenfranchisement of the the feigned disenfranchisement of the American voter. It's the half of the people in this country that don't vote. I think let's bring it all the way back home to voter reform, to voting reform, man. Seriously, because at the end of the day, you've got all of these people that feel they feel so disenfranchised from their voice mattering to the political superstructure that someone would rather go out and murder someone to get a conversation started. Because at the end of the day, how many times do we have to go back and forth with these politicians trying to start a conversation, and it never happens? This is actually the most powerful driver of conversation around healthcare we've seen in the modern era, and it's because somebody got their fucking head blown off, man. And like, you know, I'd love to live in this beautiful,
I mean, neither Kamala nor Trump talked about healthcare, right? It wasn't important to the American people in this cycle. So,
but obviously,
again, it's us. It's our fault.
Obviously, it was, because look at how incensed people are. It's that it wasn't spoken to. It's one of the most. I feel like,
I mean, most people disagree with this. Like, most people don't want this guy doing what he did, and the people who do probably have very unsophisticated views of any of this. Like even he had like a very unsophisticated view of like healthcare and how it worked, and his fucking family was like corrupt and doing this shit. Like, he is a bad guy. He is like the rich kid who wants to like none of these rich kids who like have their cause and then martyr themselves. I have zero sympathy for them, and I don't believe in their cause. The guy who was the CEO. He was born into poverty and rose up through the ranks to become like a champion of American economy, right? And that's what we want. We want more of that, not more of this rich asshole killing people with a shitty manifesto that didn't even make sense and got the facts wrong.
I think it's. I'm a person that I think falls in the camp of like, oh boy, I would love to live in such a sensitive, delightful little society where it's not the Middle Ages everywhere but America. But we don't live in that world. And like, if you're going to make morally questionable decisions, and if you're going to engage yourself in capitalist pursuits that are systematically disenfranchising people from their fucking ability to be alive, right? Like, this is the banality of evil, Peter. This is the Nazi war machine, right? Like, what is it? What is different? Here's my fucking hot take for the day. How the fuck is this guy different from Heinrich Himmler, bro?
Wait, how is who different from Heinrich Himmler?
The United Healthcare CEO. How is he any different? How many people in the 3 years that he was CEO do you think died on his watch at the top of the food chain? Probably.
Dude, that's
not
such a bad analogy. That's such a bad analogy.
But is it? But it's the banality of evil. This is like what we've been.
No, they're like, healthcare companies are not evil. They're not. They're operating within the system that we voted for that provides healthcare. So like
the Nazis were operating in the post Weimar Republic society of post World War I Germany.
The Nazi intention was to murder like a segment of their population. The intention of healthcare providers is to provide, weighing costs and benefits, the best healthcare that we can in our fucked up system. Like, they can't change the system.
No, Peter. They don't care about giving you good healthcare. You're totally brainwashed if you think that they care about giving you good healthcare. That is their minimum wage. We live in a minimum wage society. They're gonna give you the absolute basement bracket, bare fucking minimum healthcare for the absolute maximum that they can squeeze you for. That's how capitalism works.
Yes. No, I mean, that is true. That is true. But like, we still, like, in our fucked up system,
and it's those people, Peter. It's not.
This is another thing. Like, insurance companies make like not that much profit. Like, they're not a super profitable industry in and of itself. We have to move off this topic because we already lost our viewers and we got bored. But
we had 4. Oh no.
We gotta. Okay, here we're gonna jump back to some fun topics.
Okay, wait. Here, I'll put a pin on it from. I'll steel man the other side, which is the fact is that the preponderance of money that gets spent on healthcare in this country is lifestyle medications that allow unhealthy people to survive in absentia of any survival instinct. And so like there is a huge overweight, I mean, and pardon the fucking pun, but like there's a huge burden of there's a huge burden on health insurance companies to provide insulin for people who are drinking a liter of Coke a day, and that's not fair either, you know. And so like the system is broken from a lot of different sides. Fuck that guy, dude. He's totally Heinrich Himmler.
if I were qualified, I would take his job. I'd work in the insurance industry. I think you would too. I think if you were offered the job and you thought that you could lead this company to profitability, I think that you'd, and I would not take Heinrich Himmler and him, whatever his fucking name is. I would not take his job. Like there's such a fundamental difference between those two that I don't think that the comparison makes sense.
I think it does, because I think
I would work for an oil. Okay, well, okay, hold on. One more point, then we do have to move on. When I was in law school, they tell you, and this is the most true thing in all of our society, and everyone needs to know this. Like, if you want to change the world, don't become an activist. Don't become a journalist. Don't become any of those good things, right? That they're the feel good things. You become a lawyer and you become the in-house counsel to one of these major corporations, whether it's Big Pharma or it's ExxonMobil or whatever. Become their in-house counsel or their CEO. Then you actually make a difference in the world. These people, as much as we hate them, they are the people who actually have the power to make a difference. And we need to like encourage them to make a difference, and murdering them in cold blood is, I don't think, the way to do it. So we need like people who have that activist instinct. We need to tell them, go get an MBA and then run a company. Right. So we're not left at like the sociopath.
There's corruption too entrenched in the system that any one person, like it's the bureaucracy of evil and the banality of evil, man. It's a hulking mass of uncaringness that is like an iceberg just grinding people underneath it as it slowly slides forward. It doesn't matter if you're on top of it or below it, it's moving. And the only thing that stops...
Apparently we're not gonna be able to move off the topic, but let's hard pivot. Let's hard
Park
pivot.
It!
Okay, so I know that you have opinions about this, and this is probably more fun and less contentious. Lily Phillips.
Who knows?
So yeah, well, no, I think we're really
you and I are gonna fall on the same side of this one. I've got a very family oriented take on this one.
Oh man, yeah. My thoughts are muddled, to be honest. So we'll see where we land on it. But excuse me. This is the girl who OnlyFans account had sex with 101 dudes in 24 hours, right? And then she like there was a documentary about her, and she was like broken, right, in tears, and like, what did I do? It was that sort of a level. And then now there's been, just for a little bit more context, there's been a slew of articles blaming the men for doing this, being like, let's not blame her, let's blame the men for doing this. That's where I'm kind of like,
crazy,
not on board, and crazy. And I can maybe spell out why, but I want to get your initial thoughts to this situation.
Oh my God. Oh, let me just start by saying I've been thinking about having a family, and for whatever reason, I've been listening to more family-oriented media. I mean, I'm still a punk rocker, and I still fucking whatever, man. I watch porn and do fucked up shit. You know what I mean? Like, it's not as if I'm like putting on a polo and moving to Elk Grove, but I do find myself digesting like Nate Bargatze's podcast, which is very wholesome and just like no swearing, and like it just reminds you that there's this whole segment of the country, conservatives mostly, that are not hypersexualized, that don't have like a punk rock attitude towards sex, and like don't have aren't like futurists in terms of like sexuality in the way that it's being presented in the modern age. They're just kind of like hey man, like this is really intense, and this is something that people, and I think in a lot of places in the country, people have this sense of like, hey, like we used to kind of keep this to ourselves when we would do like, obviously we've all been doing freaky shit forever. We've been fucking each other's wives or whatever, you know what I mean? And like, but this used to be a thing that wasn't that you didn't get a huge pump of celebrity for, that wasn't pushed in your face in the daily news cycle, or that wasn't normalized. Now on the other side of this, I want to say this is the most normal thing. This happens all day, every day, all over the world. This girl experienced what it feels like to be a prostitute in a third world country for a day. You know what I mean? Like, so those two realities, I think, simultaneously exist for me.
100 dudes in 24 hours. That's probably like, this is like a marathon.
I mean, brother.
I mean, I don't know. I have no idea. I have no idea how many is like normal, but like you're running out of dudes in your society if you're going through 100 a day, right? I bet it's like 2 a day,
bro.
I bet it's like 2 a day. Can we Google this?
No.
How
buddy.
many?
I mean, you look.
Average prostitute have sex with per day.
You go to Amsterdam and there's like a line. You know what I mean?
There's like a
5-guy line.
Have you been to Amsterdam?
I haven't, but
dude,
I've seen crazy. And I've.
Yeah, you walk down these little alleys and there are all these like women in like lit up in neon, and they're standing in their underwear, and they're all gorgeous. Like, it's crazy. They're all like gorgeous. And like it's so funny because like they'll like, it's flattering. I didn't visit any. I was so fucking broke and it's weird anyway. But it's crazy. I felt so flattered because like you'd walk by and like a group of people would be walking by. It's like a tourist trap, right? And like the girls will like sometimes every now and then they'd like point at you specifically, like tap on the glass and be like,
give you the old babe.
I was like 18 and I was like so just like, oh my god,
calling the shot.
I don't think even they were doing 100 a night. I bet they do is more like 3 nights, but
five. No, but I bet you there's more than 10,000 women that have to deal with that every day.
Dude, guess. Okay, we got Google. This is from the ASU Center.
Nobody's gonna tell you how many times a day a Yazidi sex slave is raped, dude.
Okay, like, whatever we got here. We got a stat, an A thing. How many prostitutes?
You're gonna have to
working that one. 68 hours a day. So not 24, but 68 hours a day. How many clients do you think that they see a night?
Like a professional?
Yeah, so working 6 to 8 hours a day.
In the States?
Yes.
Oh, probably 6 or 7.
3 to 5.
3 to 5. Yeah, still
3 to 5 a night.
I guess, look, man, I'm gonna kick it back to you because my thought is this. I really hate the way that our society is hypersexualizing itself.
Yeah.
And because I don't find it to be in a European way where it feels like, well, mom and dad are naked because they're humans, and they fuck sometimes because they're humans. And like, there's just kind of, you know what I mean? Like, there's just like, oh, we see naked people on TV because whatever, it's not that big of a deal. It's just sex, blah, blah, blah. You know, to me here, it feels like a cyberpunk kind of, NASCAR version of sexualizing the country, where it's like every little girl has access to sexualized messaging and clothing now. Like 8, 6 years old, whatever size person you want, you can find a skirt that just covers, a little bit of, you know what I mean? And it's just like, it just feels like we're on this bullet train towards publicly having a hardcore relationship with sex. And like, that's the first thing to me that come, like, apart from her whole flex of why this is and blah, blah, the fact that this is getting so much media attention, and the fact that this is one of the things that takes up air in the conversation of like public media in this country. I can't get on board with that, man.
Yeah, one of the things that's so interesting is people have been tweeting like, where is her family? Like, where is her mom? Her mom was her manager. Her mom helped set this up.
crazy.
So like we live in a very strange culture. I mean, I don't want to be any sort of like on a prudish level necessarily, because I think that like our society, no matter how extreme we get in this like pro-sex regard, it's never going to be even remotely as bad as like Saudi Arabia or something, where women can't get driver's licenses or can't step outside and can never show their faces, or they get beaten by their husbands. Like that, that's the opposite extreme. We're like obviously, you know, creeping up on the extreme is opposite of that. But I'm more comfortable on our extreme side of this. I just think that like we need to make certain things not cool. You know what I mean? Like as basic as that. Like sure, normalize shit. Normalize everything. Everything is normalized. We can't pretend like it's not. Everything's so fucking normal. But like, don't make it cool. You know what I mean? Like, just be like, why did you do that or something? Because it's not good for her. I don't think that it's. I don't know. Like, what? Why do this? Like, it's a spectacle.
It's not exactly
it's not high art.
Double-blind clinical trial. You know what I mean? Like. Did you know, obviously nothing of scientific import came out of this experience.
We do joke about Ayla, because Ayla does this in the Bay Area, or she did it where she had like her birthday gangbang, and she's super chill with it. Like her personality can like power through, and is not like, I mean, she does it almost like as a scientist or something like that. And I want room for Aylas to exist in the world, but Ayla seems to be doing it for like more of a sort of interesting. She's not just doing it for the money. Like she's doing it for such a different. You'd have to ask her, I guess, like why she's doing it exactly. But like more. Okay. People every day, probably right now, climb mountains free solo, jump out of airplanes, do all kinds of crazy shit that real talk is way crazier than just like having sex with lots of people, right? Totally. Way crazy. And we have normalized that. We normalized gun ownership.
Brother, working on an oil rig.
We normalized going to shooting ranges. We normalized all kinds of shit. We are still kind of like held up sexually because of we are a prudish nation, that we grow up with prudish Christian values fundamentally like ingrained in us. So there's kind of that. There's a lot going on. But
let me peel back. Let me peel this all the way back, because you know I like
all the way. Let's peel it back.
Let's get 30,000 feet up and think about the commodification of men's sex drive in this country. And like, why don't we just take a beat instead of, and this kind of bookends with what you're talking about kind of like blaming the men for this. Now, if you see a pretty girl on Instagram and you look at how many likes a photo has, and it's in the like 30 or 40 or 50,000, how many ejaculations do you think that represents? Right? Like, it's not like, it's not a bunch of guys going, wow, pretty girl. Like, anyways, you know, it's a lot of dudes jerking off to that stuff. And if we look at the scale of that, of how much of our public engagement through the internet, through social media, is dudes jerking off. Let's just call it what it is. Come on now, we gotta pull the fucking cover back on this at some point. We can't, like, how do we draw the analog for women of what sex is for men? Because that is like the quintessential thing that I think is at the center of all of this. You said something to me a couple months back that I thought was one of the best analogs I've ever heard, where you were like, you know what a big set of tits is for a chick? you're like, just try if a guy came up to you and was holding two brand new puppy dogs, newborns, right here. And you're
gonna look at them and you're gonna want to touch them. Yeah, that was the comedian's bit. I didn't make that up.
Well, but you know, it just illuminates one of the central conceits of all of this, which is what is the analog? How do we explain to women what sex does to us and for us, and how it changes the kind of milieu that men exist in as soon as we're exposed to it. And then it becomes as soon as you're exposed to sexuality as a man, you've got this whole cascade of gestalt reactions that, as a good guy, in society. You just have to have a set of tools for controlling that waterfall of Gestalt reactions. And eventually you can train yourself to be any way that you want. But this is something that is so internalized, so baked into men, so driven through biological, societal, enculturated norms. Like, well, how do we explain that? Because there's something when someone says, well, fuck the 100 guys would, like, what kind of depraved lunatics? I'm just like, no, man, if you understood the way that sex works for us, you wouldn't think of it that way. You would think of them not as normal dudes, because that's not something a normal dude would do, but the sexual component of it wouldn't surprise you, because like, how do you explain it? How would you explain it, man? Like, do you kind of see what I'm getting at here?
Oh, I just think that, like, at some level, in terms of the dudes, it is just completely different from the women. I mean, like, Bunker Spreckles famously had sex with 73 women in a week, I think. And you read that and you're like, dude, that's crazy, right? It is crazy, 73 in a week. But then it's just like a different scenario. Like, it's a guy, and like all dudes basically probably masturbate one time a day or more anyway, right? It's so like, where are you going to get your kicks off today? Okay, and how about tomorrow? How about the day after?
Right.
And women, like, just evolutionarily speaking, like, having sex is tied to childbirth, and you want to reserve that as a resource. Men obviously want to spread their seed, and so we are programmed, and we can't pretend like that programming is bad, because it's not. That programming is good, and we just have, like, the system kind of fucked up right now, because people are having too much non-child creating sex, and so, like, our birth rates are plummeting at the same time that porn. So we need to rejigger the system. But I'm not going to be like hysterical about, like, oh no, porn's ruining society or whatever. It's like, no, we just gotta dial it back. And like, if you're a guy and you're like way over, like, addicted to porn or whatever, here's the thing, like, just don't look at porn for a week. Your system resets, and then and then you move forward and go find a girlfriend, and life goes. Like, we act as if, like, these things are quote unquote ruining society. They're not. Every individual person, we all have our individual struggles, whether it's like donuts or chocolate milk or porn. Like, we all have a thing. We all work through them. Like, maybe 2022 was your year of, like, donuts was your addiction. 2024 it was porn. You know what I mean? Like, and like, life is not like a static thing where, like, right now everyone has this problem and it's fucked us. It's like, no, we're all individuals. We're struggling through our thing. We just need to make sure a couple things, guys, like our birth rates need to keep going up a little bit more. Like, very, very basic shit. We need to, like, get along with the sexes so that we don't become South Korea, where, like, the women are doing the 4B movement, refusing to have sex with any men ever. Not a healthy society, guys. But, like, little bit of addictions gone wild, kind of okay.
I want to see fifth wave feminism. I want to see like the white dude over here fucking but I want to see fifth wave feminism where women are simultaneously aware of how much power they have over men through their sexuality, and have achieved a level of safety, both mentally and physically, in society, where they are in control of it and respectful with it. Because I think that's the conversation that we're failing to have as a society right now, which is like, it's very much like, oh, these fucking these depraved men, you know, can't keep their eyes off these sluts. And you're just kind of like, well, hold on a second. Like, this has an inordinate power over us. And just like anything else in society, like, when you have an inordinate amount of power, the dynamic is shifted conspicuously in your favor, you have a responsibility to be cool about it. And I think a lot about these girls that go around to, like, Home Depot or something, and they shoot their content with their little tits out and stuff like that. And it's just like, it's such a classic argument, but it's like, man, how fucked up is that to the guy that's there with his wife, right? It's making both of them uncomfortable. And, like, I think the fourth wave feminism thing, or third wave, I can't remember, I always get the waves mixed up, but is like, it's your sexuality, you should flaunt it. And it's like, yeah, but, like, there's a broader societal context that you need to wrap yourself in, where you're being respectful of the fact that, like, if you go out as a woman and your little nipples are poking out, every single time a guy sees you, it's like you had one of those little buzzers in your hand and you went and gave him a handshake. You know what I mean? It's that intense for us. It's not a choice, right? It's not a choice that we're making to look at the tits. It's like it's an animal gestalt reaction that as it's happening, we're like Tiger Woods stopping the golf swing. You know, we're like, you know, like exerting this Herculean internal effort to not signal that we've seen the tits. But it's like, hey man, like part of the conversation with society shouldn't be, well, you can't look like a slut, because that didn't work. Like, well, it did work, but it was a shitty world for women to live in. I think
can I ask you a question that's kind of drilling into this a little bit?
Yeah.
Okay, this is my pivot to moving on to the next topic question. But I have a feeling, you know, there's like the trad movement or whatever, and it's like weirdly hip or whatever.
Yeah.
I have this feeling that porn is going to become just less interesting. It's kind of just become overly saturated. I just scrolled down Lily Phillips's page. I'm not going to like do it again because I saw some things that aren't supposed to be on YouTube. But like, dude, like this is boring. I'm already bored with like this and with her and like, you know what I mean? Like, and I think that there's just too much. I think that it's too much, and there's no more like mystery about the whole thing. You know what I mean? There's no more mystery, or it's just boring, right? It's like Marvel movies and the fight scenes. How many fight scenes do you have to see in a Marvel movie before you're just like, over all fight scenes ever? You know what I mean? Like it's so boring after you see enough of it. And I feel like that's where society's kind of getting to, where like the mystery and the mystique is going to naturally creep back in a way where maybe there still is OnlyFans, but there's like less nudity and more. Maybe. I mean, because people do OnlyFans not for the nudity anyway already. They do it for that parasocial relationship situation. That's why they do it, right? It's not to like see her tits. Like, tits are everywhere online. Who gives a fuck? Like literally who cares? It's like for that parasocial thing. So yeah, I that's my guess. But what do you think? Do you think that that's a fair guess, or do you think that we're just going to keep going like harder, more and more? Oh, I have an analogy real quick before I want to throw at you before I toss the question. And I think this is true. I've always said this. I think it's fucking true. With chocolate, you know, you start out doing like milk chocolate, and then you go harder and harder and harder. You hit fucking 73%, and you're like, fuck yeah. And it's so good. You hit 80%, and you're like, chalky, no good. Pull back. And I think that's where we are with porn. Like as a society, like we went harder and harder. Yeah. And then there's like too much, not too much. Now it's just like chalky and gross, and it's not fun anymore. It's not sweet and like cute anymore. And so I think we're gonna pull back to that like nice 60 to 73% of like, you know, cocoa.
You know, unfortunately, I think it's too tied in with the mental health epidemic in this country for it to be able to resolve on some kind of like asymptotic curve where it generally kind of tilts towards getting better. Because I think the thing that drives hardcore pornography and like pissing and shitting on people and like the stuff that's like objectively just not good for anybody to be consuming, except for as maybe a novelty, just to know that you don't, or just to know that it's there, or whatever. I mean, I guess if you have a kink, you know, I'm not going to kink shame you, but generally the things that people are being exposed to, it's because, you know about the gooning movement, right? Like just the whole idea that you don't really need to have a chick because you can set up your cyber cave to suck your dick with your machine. You know what I mean? And it's just like, it's like there's a whole incel movement around sex that's like trying to reclaim sex from women, because it's just so hard to relate to women right now. It's just so hard to understand how to form an organic pathway to relate to a woman in today's modern socio-political climate, unless you're a traditionalist person, in which case it's still very easy. Which I don't know, man. To the trad wife pivot, maybe that is, you know, I think there's an eternal wisdom to, because it's go ahead and you can pivot to the meme that you sent me, because look at us, we're like Crystal and Sagar. Bring up slide A over here on
Oh, well, next I wanted to talk about Dr. Ali
slide.
Louks, which is a different type of I have this like recurring thought. I don't necessarily want to like play it all out here, but I have this recurring thought. Remember how like a couple of years ago we used to always hear the phrase "the future is female," and then it just got kind of like hackneyed and no one really says it too much anymore. But like I think that the future is kind of female in the sense that like as I was just constantly as I'm just like online. There's so many, again, like coming back to like, this is the age of the creator culture. So many stories and just like narratives are driven by what women are up to. And they're so much more interesting. I know that we started this conversation talking about a dude, of course, murdering someone, fucking, of course. Like, but men are still Neanderthals, murdering people in cold blood on the streets. Look at this lovely woman. She's not murdering anybody. She's also driving just as much conversation about like also an important topic. And she's hot. And she's hot. She's not. It's also
just playing my role over here, guys.
I could wax poetic about.
Can I tell you something? Let me take you down a set of mental stairs that's only 5 stairs long. Mm-hmm. Look at anything around you. Anything. Literally, just pick an object. Any object.
I got a Christmas tree right here.
Christmas tree right there. Who is it? Plastic or real?
It's real.
It's real. Who you think grew and or cut that down? It was a guy.
It was a guy.
Literally look at any object, pick one. Mm-hmm. The likelihood that a woman was involved in manufacturing it is infinitesimal. It's possible. It's possible.
Can I jump in with an anecdote that I feel very uncomfortable about? It's been in my brain, and I don't know why. I'll say it on the live stream.
Yeah, sure.
Coffee shop I go to, Temple Coffee, Sacramento, shout out, like best coffee. They always have like when you walk in, like before you order, they have like this long row of all these different types of coffee.
Yes.
There's always one that says women made. No. It's like, cool, but like if you had like had me guess, I would have said like 3 or 4 of them were women made. You know what I mean? Like now I know all of these were man made.
Right.
And there might even be a gimmick about the fact that it's women made because you have to say it. You have to put it in my face. Like that's not what they think it is. That's not an advertisement for women. That's like, oh shit, so everything here was made by men except for this one thing that you have to promote. Like I don't like that. I mean I would in a different sense I would argue why the future is female, but
well
you're right about this, and I think it's gross when it gets forced on people.
But here's why the future is female.
Okay, yes, take it there, Devon. Take it.
You pick any object, you just kind of take for granted it was manufactured, probably invented, probably logistically got to you. 99.9% men, right? Amazing. We're so functional. We're so good at doing stuff. Why do we do stuff? Do you think there is not an object that you cannot trace back to some guy's obsession with pleasing a woman? It doesn't exist, because get this, man.
You know who created the tampon?
As it had to have been. As men, what do? Our bodies are wealth creating machines. We can go anywhere and immediately begin manufacturing wealth for ourselves. We don't have any need to make shelters that are more than temporary. We don't have any need to lock things up. None of that. That all comes from the idea of a woman as the most valuable thing in your proximity, much more valuable than any object you could create. Houses do not have locks on the doors to protect things. They have locks on the doors to protect pussy, dude. Like literally it's not even the chick, it's just the pussy. I mean, I hate to say that, it's very crass. That's horrible. It's horrible. We love our women. We love our women, but the thing that's dangerous is that someone could break in and steal the pussy. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like every single thing in our society revolves around women, always has, always will. And I don't know, I think there's got to be some kind of calmfulness that should come from that fundamental truth, where it's like, you don't need franchisement in the manufacturing industry. We do all this stuff for you guys anyways. You know, maybe we need to realign the system a little bit. What do you think about that?
I mean, yes, I totally agree. I mean, at the same time, part of my whole like the future actually is female thing is that I think that we are now an idea economy. We are like an economy based on, you know, over credentialism, and
Sure.
it's women who are now the over credentialed. And
Unbelievably.
so, like, I don't know, like, whether or not they're manufacturing my espresso, I think that
Who cares?
they are pushing
They're
forward
thought leaders.
humanity, yeah, into the like whatever the next phase is. We've been through a lot of phases. I think that we are going to enter a new phase that's not going to be quite as capitalistic. It's gonna be contoured quite differently, and it's going to be told by like a woman's perspective. I think just because. One, it's about time, and like two, I think that's just naturally what's going to happen. Case in point, Dr. Ali Louks. So she got absolutely pilloried on Twitter by people calling out her dissertation because it was just like woke gobbledygook nonsense. That was like the idea. And so like Tim Pool takes it to the extreme that it's naturally going to go where he says like, this is why academia has failed. This is a downfall of our society. Like, look at this. This is a pinnacle of like, we are like being corrupted as a society. And my Substack, shout out.
Knock it off.
The Decadence Project is kind of like low-key about taking down that perspective because like what she is doing, it's like a you know, it's a decadent flex in a sense. Like it's not necessary. We don't need this. But like, what do you think societies do when they're like healthy and mature and wealthy? They produce over-credentialed people doing like low-key unnecessary but kind of fascinating things. Yeah.
The dream is to be a wealthy enough society that people are taking on PhD subjects that nobody cares about.
We are going to get, this is my futurist prediction, we are going to get to a point in life, maybe 1,000 years from now or whatever, where this is all that we do. We just play games that like basketball. You know, we fucking need basketball. Like we don't need the NBA. That's just as useless as their PhD, but we do it because it's fun and it's entertaining and it's like, it's a flex and it shows off like human talent that's innate. Basically every corner of life that isn't like, you know, building or welding, it's some form of this PhD, and we're all going to be there eventually. All of us, I think, even if like you're a carpenter and you're building stuff in the future that like a robot could have done anyway, same exact thing as this woman and her PhD, same thing. But let me pass it to you. I do have a couple more thoughts on this, but I want to see if you have any initial like disagreements on this.
No. No, I mean, I just, fucking killed it. I just generally hate the histrionic nature of discourse right now. It feels a lot like the hypersexualization of culture. It feels a lot like there's just so many people that are aware that if they turn it up to 11, they'll get a marginal amount more attention for their ideas. And I'm just like, have a fucking spine, dude. You know, like all you people, this chick fucking 100 dudes in a day, these Tim Pool, you know, the histrionic liberal media, the histrionic Republican media, like have a fucking spine, dude. Like just have ideas that are strong and coherent, because when an idea is actually strong and coherent and it isn't just an exercise in acknowledging and validating your fear complexes, like it doesn't resonate with the same kind of high-pitched squeal that a lot of this stuff does, man. It's crazy to me.
So I'm looking at our topics that we have to hit still. Can I hit let's go ahead and hit the one, because I know we both got to run here in a minute.
Yeah.
I want to bounce to the end of history. This to me is so goofy and fascinating.
Okay.
So you know, wow, blanking on his name. Francis Fukuyama.
No.
This fine gentleman.
Okay.
So So a couple of years ago, actually, it might have been like a decade ago, he wrote a book called The End of History. And It was about how like liberalism was it. Once you have like functioning democracies and like liberal functioning healthy societies, you can't really progress past that. And so now we're just in this ball game of trying to get more and more and more countries there, and then we will have arrived, and history doesn't really like have anywhere else to go, because that where else do you go from there? You tweak the edges, but you don't like, we don't have to fuck with communism anymore, right? Because we tried it, failed, etc.
What a delightful little treatise this man has crafted.
So the last 10 years have been a debunking of that effectively, like in slow motion. History has proved him wrong again and again and again and again. Until like this week. And this is the tweet that I have pulled up here. And to me, this is so kind of like funny. And I almost want to like, I want to lean into this hard because I think it's funny and insightful. So, Syria's government was just toppled, right?
Wow. Let's go. Let's fucking go, Syria, dude. You love a good look. We get a folk hero and a people's revolution in the same week.
Yeah.
An embarrassment of riches.
And it was toppled by, kind of a sketchy group that, we still call them terrorists. But like, dude, this is a crazy thing.
Fucking ISIS adjacent,
Sharia
law, fucking believing ass, dude.
No, but like, this is the thing, because this is like, who knows what will happen. I'm just basking in this exact moment. But like, the first thing that they had, where they had like a major press release or whatever, they talked about how they're going to lean into not being an authoritarian state. They want to be an open democracy and respect all people, because they want to open themselves up to trade and become a wealthy nation. And it's like, dude, that is the Francis Fukuyama moment, where like all of these countries who the last decade should have been realizing that and making that pivot, because like that is the future, that is the end of history. None of them, like literally none of them did. Syria, of all places, with like ISIS adjacent, is doing that turn. It's like hilarious. Whoa, where did this come from? And like, thank you.
Yeah, it's just so funny. It's like we've really let the sun set on our like early 2000s like romanticizing like traditional cultures, where we're just like, no, dude, the guys in the Amazon, they want money. Like, they don't want to be shooting poison darts at monkeys. They want food and like cool clothes and like a phone and shit. Like, everybody wants this shit. Like, this is not like an export of evil American capital. Like, this is just the future, and every normal fucking human sees cool shit and is like, oh man, come on. It's like the new kids the kids at school have the cool fucking Nikes, and you're like, well, I want cool Nikes, and all you can get is Airwalks from Payless, but that'll do.
I know that this is a cliched point, but like having a child taught me this to some extent, where it's like, you think that the whole like possessions thing, or you think that that's all like our American culture. You kind of see right away that it is hardwired into human DNA, that like, it's all about wanting my shit. It's all about wanting better food, more food, my food, my turn. Like, all of that is just absolutely hardwired. And there was a study that was done on this, where it's something like 80% of toddler disputes are all about possessions. No, that was mine. That was my turn. That sort of a thing. And it's like, for better or worse, this is who we are. This is what evolution made us to be.
Well, it's so funny when you were first kind of saying this guy, and I know I'll wrap it up because I know we got to go. But when you were first kind of telling me this guy's intellectual flex, which is just the idea that we're gonna achieve some liberal utopia, and we'll kind of be then what, it's just gonna be kind of interpersonal or like regional conflicts from there or something like that. But
democracies
it's like,
never go to war. That was part of like his argument, and it's true. Like, we never go to war with each other ever.
100%. Bureaucracy is too hulking. There's just not enough people that have the thirst for blood when everybody's safe. It's like, everybody's so safe in this country. Nobody wants to go to war ever again.
We want to trade with each other. We want to go to their beaches.
We want to watch this girl fuck 100 guys on OnlyFans and only pay $3.50 for it. But
we want to watch their boxers destroy each other. Like, yeah, there's so much that we want to see.
That's right. That's right. We want to watch legacy Black athletes be mocked mercilessly by young white YouTubers. That's what we need in this country. I love that for us. But what
very healthy, all very healthy.
My thought on it was that, you know, this guy would be right if time existed in the same dimension in all places at once. Like if democracy was something that swept the world like the Industrial Revolution did, then, or honestly, there's places in most places in the Middle East haven't even gotten to the Industrial Revolution yet, man. They're still living in handmade houses with, you know, cutting meat with handmade knives. I mean, this is fucking insanity. And it's like, it just doesn't get any better. It's like, there is a giant ballast on humanity's ability to create progress for itself, and it's every single person that's living hand to mouth without modern amenities. And it's just like, you get why American imperialism had so much groundswell and support over the last like 30 to 40 years, because we're all over here shitting in clean water, eating bomb ass food all the time, like worried about the most trivial shit, dude. And I think that in our heart of hearts, most people go, oh man, everybody should be shitting in fresh water and fucking eating dope food, you know? Like it's, I think it's less, it's half about exhuming people from slavery, but I think the other half is about all of us living here and going, God, man, this is like baseline awesome. Everybody needs this. You know, and like, shouldn't we beg, borrow, and steal to kill the people that are preventing the people below them from having access to this? Fuck Bashar al-Assad. Fuck anybody that has a dictatorial instinct to their people and is robbing from the top down. Kill them.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. No one likes it. End of the day, nobody likes that shit. Like Russia today announced this week they might shut off the whole entire internet. I mean, come on, dude.
Oh my God. Somebody kill Putin. Somebody kill this guy.
Now I'm okay with their vigilantism. We're talking
why
about
do we live in brutalist? Why
okay
do we live in such a brutalist society that refuses to kill all the people that need to be killed? Come on.
I'm taking you there on one train, and that's a train to Putin's mansion. That's where I'm going with your murderous rage. Hey, well, that was good. That was good times. We do have more to hit, but maybe we'll have to schedule a follow-up. In the meantime, Devon, hey, good talks.
Great pod, Pete. Boy, yeah. Let's try to keep our 4 viewers next time.
Yeah, for all the 4 of you.
We gotta be like, hey guys, what do you want us to talk about?
Next time we'll start with the fun ones. Although it's fun to yell too. Like I was enjoying the tension, the yelling.
I love it.
I do too, man.
Maybe it just wasn't for them. Maybe we've got, you know, we just keep doing our thing. If anybody made it this far, we love you. Nobody.
What else can we yell about next time? That was pretty exciting. All right, man. Well, we'll chat soon.
Bye, Pete.
All right, later.